Hello, this is Jacqueline with Vibrational Energy Solutions, and today we're here with Soulbyte number 2. And this is for the introduction to the doorway to your divine destiny. Today I wanted to share with you a little bit about control and manipulation. So control is the only thing that we ever have control over, is our own choices. The choice of what we think, the choice of what we say, the choice in our actions. And so often we go through life wanting to be in control of others, in control of our environment, in control of different situations. But the only thing we truly do have control over when it comes to others is our choice in how we respond. So often we get into reaction mode and we shut down. And so what we get to do is we get to realize, we get to become aware of our situations, have situational awareness with what's happening around us. And realize that when we react, we're doing that from our reflexes. But when we respond, it comes from that first Soulbyte, responsibility, able to respond. And so what I wanted to share with you today is a little bit about how these manipulations come to play. When we're very young, we create adaptive strategies, and those strategies are manipulations. They're manipulations that we've created to attempt to create safety when we perceive a threat of something being taken away. It could be something that we feel that we're going to lose. It may be that we feel less than. It may feel that something will create a situation where we will never be able to, whatever the scenario is. And so what we want to do is become aware of these things that are triggering us in our environment, that are creating these manipulations, and seeing how are they hurting us. Are we actually winning anything by doing this? Who is it harming in our environment when we choose to do this? And do we really have everyone's best interest at heart, or are we moving from being very selfish-minded and feeling as though something is going to be taken away? Or are we moving from the space of how do we create a win-win? How does everybody win? Because when we create lose-lose scenarios like manipulation and control in our lives, there are no winners. It may be looking on the outside like you're winning, but actually, if you take a deeper look under the surface, you're going to find that there's a lot of pain involved. So why are these strategies created in the name of safety? And what do they look like? So for myself, I tend to be a very highly sensitive person, very highly empathic. So for me, what it looks like is creating safety in my environment. So what does creating safety in my environment look like? A lot of times I conform, I chameleon. I will chameleon into the environment. I will chameleon into being what everyone expects me to be. So this has been in my past, and when I was married, this is what happened. And when my marriage fell apart, which was over 10 years ago, and what happened was I remember looking in the mirror and not even recognizing the woman that was staring back at me. I had come so far away from who I knew myself to be that I felt lost. And so it took me a long time. This is 10 years later. And I started my journey with energy work and holistic principles 20 years ago now. So this has been a very long journey, and pulling the curtain back and saying, what is this about me? Why am I like this? And how do I want to be? And how do I get to take responsibility for being that and creating that? And I can tell you, it's been not not an easy journey. It's been a challenging journey. And I'll go more into depth in the Doorway to Your Divine Destiny program about where that journey took me, and to try to help you to understand you're not alone. You are absolutely not alone. And pretty much most of the world struggles with these same struggles. And that's why I'm bringing them to you, so I can help you to come home to your heart. So let's dive a little deeper into some of these manipulations and recognition that we can't be everything that everyone expects us to be. And what else can manipulation look like? So it could be that you feel that you need to fight for your own needs. It could be that you are looking out for yourself because when you were a young child, there maybe wasn't that support system there. You could have struggled with abuse or neglect. And I can't tell you which is worse. I know I spent a lot of time alone as a child. And I look at clients that I've worked with, and I have felt that there is aspects of verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. There's so many different variations of what abuse looks like, and different manipulation tactics that have created the scenario of perceived safety. But it's all a perception. It's an illusion. And sometimes, even when we're in the reality of life, we question ourselves, what is truly real and what's an illusion? Because when we're dealing with different facades and different manipulations, it's difficult to recognize what is real and what is not. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about some of these manipulations right now, because I want you to have a greater depth of understanding to see, is there a way that this is happening in my life? Am I actually creating manipulations in my life to create what feels like safety, but truly is taking you further and further away from your heart into that space? So if we want to come home to our heart, what happens when we're not there and we're not doing our homework is we figuratively become homeless. So if we're not seated here in our heart, it means that we are not embodied. We are not fully living out the joy, the experience of embodiment, and the life that we could really truly be choosing. And I am a work in progress. I'm not going to deny that. And we'll get into that later a little bit more, because I am the mystical nomad. There's a reason I call myself a mystical nomad. And that's a part of my own journey and my own healing and coming home to my heart as well. So when we're out for ourselves and we feel like we have to fight for our own needs, a lot of times you'll see exaggerations of talents or achievements. There'll be obsession around success or around power and what that looks like. It could be that you need to have the best of everything so that from the outside, everything looks good. Everything looks perfect. And there could be domination in conversations. There could be tuning out the needs or the feelings of others because you don't want to allow any roads in to not allow the illusion to be seen for what it is. So sometimes there will be a flat out wall where conversations get shut down when someone is trying to speak out how they're feeling or what their needs are. Or there could be even just disregarding someone altogether and pushing them aside or even out of your life. So have you done this? And oftentimes we suppress, we deny, we disown any parts of us that are actually looking for comfort, that are looking to heal this part. Because I believe what happens, this is just my perception, is that if we allow others to really see us, we are vulnerable. We are very vulnerable when we allow others in. And I like to feel that I can hold that space of love. I can see the brilliance, the light, the love inside of people. And that lights me up to be able to do that. But oftentimes I can do it before they can do it. And oftentimes they never see it. They continue to see the darkness, they continue to see the shadow, they continue in the distraction techniques or the manipulations, and it creates heartbreak. It creates heartbreak for me. It creates helplessness for me because I can't control anything. The only thing I can control is my own choosing of how to interact with people, with situations, with being my own source of that love, validation, approval, and safety. So what does avoidance look like? So avoidance is another part of this, where they avoid coming into, so through that suppression, denial, and disowning of those parts inside of us, there's an avoidance because they don't want to face whatever the core underlying story is. And it's a story. It's not true. That's one thing that you get to understand, is it's not true. Whether it's shame, whether it's worthlessness, whether it's, whatever that buried core wound is, it's never true. And it just takes bringing it up, to look at it, to feel it, and actually witness yourself. So oftentimes we don't want to see ourselves, we don't want to see those patterns, and it's easier to push people away than to actually dive in. And so that shame or the guilt, they're seen as threats. They're seen as threats against our own well-being. And if we allow that to win, we are not winning, we are losing. And so that's why I'm here today, to help bring this to light, because on Soulbyte 2, I'm laying it down for you. And so what some of these threats to your well-being can look like are you're bullying someone, or you're allowing yourself to be bullied and be a doormat or feel weak. It could be you romanticize and believe that everything is perfect. And it will be until it comes crashing down, because we can choose to create whatever we want in our life. I believe fully in love. I believe fully in creating a life that's beautiful, that's amazing, that's connected, that's authentic and real. And sometimes your stuff's going to come up. Your stuff's going to you're going to trigger yourself. Other people are going to trigger you. And you get to take a look at that. But if you refuse to look at it, you're the only one that has the power to work through it. No one can do it for you. And no amount of hiding or running away or burying it is ever going to get you to the core so that you can fully heal and create what it is you want in your life. So what else does it look like? Let's see. Self-harm. Self-harm. Choosing to make your body hurt, to take yourself away from the pain of what you're experiencing. It could be eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia. It could be running away. I've been a really good runner in my life, I must say, which could be part of why I am the mystical nomad. I have tended to run away in the past and isolate. I've been that lone wolf over and over and over again until life gave me this such clear symbolism of being a lone wolf, where I went to my son's wedding and I was the only one in the front row on my side of the family. That's a wake-up call. That's God. And what I did was I put my ancestors and family members that couldn't be there with me, I energetically put them in that front row with me when I got walked down the aisle and got seated there. So that, because to tell you the truth, I was heartbroken and I felt completely helpless and lonely. And in that second, I had to choose something different, because I actually started to have a little bit of anxiety come up. I started to feel a couple of tears coming, and I couldn't believe that God showed me such an amazing reflection for me to look at. And I did. I look at things. I see the signs. I feel into what is this showing me? And I invite you to do that as well, because life is always showing us what it is that we get to heal, that you're blessed to heal. It's not something you have to do. It's something that you get to do. It's something you're blessed to do. So what else could it be? It could be projecting that this person, it's that person, it's them, or deflecting it. Or it could be being defensive, denying, accusing. It could be avoiding. It could be controlling. It could be looking at the worst case scenario of what could happen and staying focused there, because your vision of your life is yours to create. What you think about, you will bring about. And so I invite you to focus your energy on what it is you want to create, not what you don't. So what is it that you want? Who are you being? Are you being the person that can actually create that in your life? Or are you being the person that's totally discarding whatever dream you might have, whatever vision you have for your life? And are you just choosing to pivot and go in a new direction, which is totally fair? You can choose whatever you want to choose. But I invite you not to hurt people on your journey as you do it. So, as well as self-harm, there's harm to others. That's another scenario. How can we cause and inflict pain on others so that I don't have to feel? So it's interesting. It's interesting because a lot of times when we do cause pain to others, sometimes people don't recognize that they're doing that. Sometimes it's not intentional, and sometimes it's just pure ignorance. And that's why in the first Soulbyte, we talked about responsibility. Take everything as neutral, because your intention is the only thing that matters. When you're working at coming home to your heart, your intention of where you're standing up for yourself and you're being present is what gets you to be the space of love for you, that's able to hold you and create safety for you, that invites others into that space. And safety. When we're creating safety for ourselves, we're also not creating distractions. So oftentimes when we don't want to feel something, we're creating distraction techniques. There's usually a vice that we'll run to. It could be shopping, it could be pornography, it could be binging food, it could be binging drugs, it could be binging Netflix. What is the cost you're paying for that? Are you actually creating in your life? Sometimes even I will fall into a distraction technique. And when I do, I usually find my way out of it pretty quickly. But often it's a lot easier when I'm in my own space and realizing what I'm doing to myself. Some people, it's news, it's catastrophizing over what's going on in the world. That can be a really great distraction technique. Politics is a great one. Yeah. So, who do you want to be? That's what it comes down to. When I ask, who are you? If you can look yourself in the eyes in the mirror and feel good about the person that's looking back at you, it's all that matters. Love yourself. Who are you? You get to choose. You get to be whoever you want to be. You get to create the vision of your life however you want to create it. And I wish you the best of everything, because you do deserve it. There's light within every one of us. So often the darkness, the shadow creeps in, and it dampens that light down. And sometimes it's just a flicker. And having dealt with depression, which I can say in my life has been situational, and it's also been being a highly empathic and sensitive person, it's been, a lot of it is environmental. It's the energy of where I'm at, the people around me. And I feel that if you can come to a solid place of knowing home in your heart, recognizing situations for what they are, having situational awareness, because so often I feel depression is situational. And this is an invitation for you. And I know this was about control and manipulation, but health can also be a manipulation. And so you get to take a look at, am I coming from the space of being the victor of my life and choosing, or am I the victim of others and circumstance? Am I the victim of my health? And if it's a health question, I invite you to look a little bit deeper, because oftentimes there's an emotional component where we get to find that solid core space of love, of coming home within ourselves, so that we can heal any of those emotions that we've been denying. We talked a little bit about denying, suppressing, disowning, not only parts of ourselves, but also the feelings, the emotions. And what is it that is still asking you to feel, to look at, to dive into a little bit deeper, so that you can actually get to the core of the story, and you can also choose. You can choose to be the victor of your life. So in the Doorway to Your Divine Destiny program, we work a lot with affirmations, askformations, which are the questions that we put out that create an invitation for God, Spirit, Universe, whatever that is for you, what's true for you, and create an invitation for that essence to co-create with you. So that's what askformations are. There's guided meditations. And so I want to bring this out because there is a way to quantum leap into a new reality. There is a way, as long as you're acknowledging and you're allowing, you're not denying, suppressing, or disowning, you're recognizing there's different parts within all of us. There's an inner child that's often hurt. And so this is an invitation to recognize that you don't have to hurt anymore. You can love yourself so deeply. You can show up as the loving adult or the authentic self, connected to your soul, your higher self. But with fragmentation, when we compartmentalize different pieces and parts of ourselves, so often there are different aspects of the personality that we get to bring back into our wholeness. Because we were born to be whole and complete in who we are. And that's recognizing when we come home to our heart and allowing that space for you to bring all of these pieces back together, to bring peace in your life, to bring tranquility back to your heart, to know that you are safe. That is all any of these parts want. All of these parts are calling you to create that safety. And you're the only one that can do it. So my invitation to you is to witness yourself, to be the observer, to really feel deep down what it is that's true for you, and recognize with compassion, everyone's doing the best that they can. And sometimes that capacity is not there. Sometimes the capacity is this big. And sometimes the capacity is this big. And we don't know what's true for each person. So I know a lot of our world is hurting. A lot of our world is fragmented. And this is an invitation for you to love yourself. Bring wholeness to you so that you can come into life with a full cup. You don't have to be the one that's got this much left in your glass and you're constantly giving to everybody else and there's nothing left for you. This is an invitation for you to become full and to connect from that space, to create a life that you truly do love. And that is the doorway to your divine destiny, whatever that looks like for you. And if you'd like a little help with that, I've got a doorway to your divine destiny that can support you. This is Jacqueline, hoping you're making it a great day and sending so much love your way. Bye for now.